Hey everybody, this is Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com. Today I'm going to talk about balanced versus unbalanced cable. What's the difference? Now, this is a little more technical than I normally like to go into, but I just think it's fascinating and I think it might be helpful for you. So, there's balanced and unbalanced cables, right? You may not know which is which and why. I'm going to tell you today, hopefully quickly. Here's an unbalanced cable. This is a guitar cable, a patch cord. You'll see it's a 1/4 inch and it has one line on it. So there's two sections of metal and one line in the middle, okay? This is an RCA connection. It is also unbalanced. Those are your two main RCA or two main unbalanced connections that you're gonna see in most gear. Now let's talk about balanced. Balanced, XLR is a balanced signal. It has 3 pins, 3 conductors, 3 wires going down the cable. The other side of a balanced cable could be a 1/4 inch TRS connector. TRS stands for tip ring sleeve. It looks just like a guitar cord, except there's an extra line here, an extra divider. So instead of just 2 sections of metal, or 2 conductors, there's 3. The tip, the ring, and the sleeve. So a TRS cable also has 3 wires going down the cable. So what makes balanced cool and unbalanced less cool? Well, unbalanced is great. The problem with unbalanced is there's only one copy of the signal, okay? So the audio, get rid of that. The audio is, there's two wires here. One of the wires carries the audio, the other one is just the ground wire, okay? So there's one copy of the signal and it becomes susceptible to picking up noise as the signal travels down the wire, okay? So you don't have long cable runs of unbalanced cable. Usually 10 to 20 feet is the max you're gonna have, and you see them on guitars and instruments. That's about it, okay? Keyboards have unbalanced outputs normally. Now, balanced is super cool. You can do long cable runs. It's a better signal. It has less noise. Why is that? Well, it's actually a really cool process. So as I said, there's 3 wires here, 3 conductors. There's 3 wires going down this cable. One of them is a ground wire, just like an unbalanced cable, but then the other 2 are actually 2 copies of the same signal. So it takes the audio, let's say I'm singing into a mic, it takes my voice and it splits it to 2 wires. Then it takes one of those wires and it flips the polarity. So as my voice is traveling down the cable, the 2 copies of the signal are actually completely out of phase with each other. Okay, so we're going down the line, then we get to the other end of the cable, and the polarity of the second one gets flipped again, so now the signals are back in phase with each other, they're combined, and they go on to the gear to be processed and all that fun stuff. Okay, what's the deal with the flipping of the polarity? Well, it's actually really cool. So the signals get flipped. They're out of phase with each other. So now, as my voice is traveling down the line, let's say there's a big radio station nearby, and that interference gets picked up by those wires. So now there's radio signal on both copies of the signal. That's going to travel down with my voice. Nothing's going to really stop it. And then when it gets to the other end, the cool part happens. One of those signals, you remember, was flipped and out of polarity with the other. When it gets flipped back in phase with the other vocal signal, the noise that got picked up gets canceled out completely. Because that noise got captured by both wires, when it gets flipped back and flipped polarity, the signal of the noise gets flipped entirely and completely cancels itself out. And then all you have left is the sound of the voice. It's really cool, and I don't know if I explained it very well, but I just think that's fascinating. So now you can use an unbalanced or a balanced cable to do long 200-foot cable runs, and you don't lose a lot of audio signal. You lose some, and you don't pick up nearly the amount of noise that you would with an unbalanced cable. You can't even do that with an unbalanced cable. It just wouldn't work. So there you go. That's a quick primer on the difference between balanced and unbalanced cable. When you're in the studio, most of your gear is going to have a balanced connection. Microphone preamps, mixers, most of them are going to have a balanced input and output. Cheaper gear, like my cheap Roland speaker over here, has an RCA input. It's a cheaper connection. It requires less wiring, all that stuff. But in general, balance is going to be probably the better choice if you have an option. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope this helped. On to recording.